From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
It's been a roller coaster ride for Arizona voting laws this weekend, how voters are dealing with the changes during an already tense election.
Both campaigns stop by the Valley before the big election tomorrow, how the campaigns try to sway voters before they head to the polls.
We had no intention of resisting our government. We didn't understand that was our role, but we weren't going to let people die.
Plus, how a North Phoenix church is reviving the ancient practice of sanctuary.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Joey Carrera.
And I'm Kate Pfeiffer. Thank you for joining us.
There have been a lot of changes to voting laws in the past 3 days. Cronkite News reporter Claire Caulfield is in Washington, D.C. with the details.
I'm at the U.S. Supreme Court, where justices recently held up an Arizona law against ballot harvesting, but not before a lower court made the practice legal for a brief period of time Friday. Under a state law passed this year, only relatives, roommates, or caregivers can turn in someone else's early voting ballot for them. But for a 24-hour period on Friday, ballot collecting by political campaigners was legal after a federal appeals court halted enforcement of the law. The advocacy group Basta Arpaio sent out this tweet on Friday offering to collect any ballots. Cronkite News reached out to the group today to see how many, if any, it collected and what it plans to do with those ballots. The Secretary of State's office said it will accept and count ballots dropped off by a campaigner if those ballots were collected in the legal time period. Advocates of the law say it protects against voter intimidation, while critics say it makes it more difficult for minorities and rural citizens to cast their ballot. This morning, the Arizona Democratic Party said it dropped off a small number of ballots that volunteers collected before the Supreme Court decision Saturday morning put that harvesting ban back into effect. The Supreme Court ruling capped a tumultuous week for Arizona voting laws that saw 6 ruling in 3 cases, and some of those rulings reversed a previous finding. Live in Washington, D.C., Claire Caulfield, Cronkite News.
One Arizona organization took advantage of that window of opportunity to collect ballots, but when it ended, it didn't stop members from holding a vigil to pray for a peaceful election. Jesse Canales reports what they expect to accomplish outside the Maricopa County Recorder's Office.
The group Promise Arizona works to help register voters, and they said it was a revelation when they learned they could collect ballots, but they say that moment of glee did not last long. Sharing a message of hope using faith, Promise Arizona started their 3-night vigil Sunday and plan to end it on election night.
Well, this vigil is specifically to pray for not only the poll workers, but to also pray for the entire election tomorrow. And we want to make sure that every single vote is counted.
The group said that mission was dealt a blow when over the weekend, the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated a new Arizona law banning the collection of ballots.
We have to keep pushing, we have to keep fighting, because our community needs us, and we have to continue to hit doors and knock on doors and call people.
Jose Barbosa, an organizer for Promise Arizona, says he was able to collect and turn in 5 voter ballots before the Supreme Court decision. With the law now back in place, there's still some confusion how Maricopa County Recorder's Office is supposed to comply with that law.
The bill still does not state how recorders or the election officials enforce these laws, and throughout the state of Arizona and all the different counties.
Maricopa County Recorder's Office says they will simply continue what they've always done if they see someone dropping off several ballots.
File a complaint. They would file that probably with the county attorney's office or the attorney general, simply because we're not a law enforcement agency.
Promise Arizona says they won't conclude their vigil until the polls close, hoping that everyone that wants to vote has the opportunity to peacefully do so. The group says they registered more than 50,000 new voters this election cycle alone. Jessica Canales, Cronkite News.
The U.S. Justice Department will be monitoring the polls tomorrow in Maricopa and Navajo counties to make sure they are complying with federal election laws. However, the U.S. Justice Department will be sending fewer workers to monitor polls nationally. According to the Justice Department, that reduction in workers is due to a 2013 provision of the Voting Rights Act. Nearly 1.65 million ballots have already been cast in Arizona. That's the latest from the Arizona Secretary of State's office. Of that total number of early votes, 40% were sent in by registered Republicans, 33.6% by registered Democrats. Just more than 26% were sent in by voters registered as independent, third party, or non-affiliated. Women continue to increase their percentage of the electorate, making up about 54% of Arizona early voters. And according to the Assistant Director of Elections, early voters have cast about 61% of all ballots expected in the general election.
Both the Republican and Democratic parties have stepped up their campaign game since Arizona was declared a battleground state. Donald Trump Jr. campaigned for his father last Friday and Senator Bernie Sanders for Hillary Clinton yesterday afternoon. Cronkite News reporter Alicia Gonzalez went to Bernie Sanders' rally for Clinton to get you an inside look.
Bernie Sanders came to Central High School with about a 45-minute speech. He talked a lot about the different Democratic platforms, but always made sure to tie it back to why the American people need to give their support to Hillary Clinton now.
Hillary will win if the voter turnout is high. She will lose if the voter turnout is low. Let's make sure that Arizona has the highest voter turnout in its history.
Some voters came to show support for the party as a whole.
I've never been very political before, but I think this time around, just seeing all the negativity with the Trump campaign, I thought it was important to be more visible and more supportive of the Democratic Party.
Others were more interested to hear about a specific platform.
I'm, of course, an educator. I've been teaching for 23 years, and I know that this is the right candidate that is going to do right for public education in Arizona.
Arizona Republican Congressman Trent Franks said Bernie Sanders is spending the final hours of this campaign trying to manufacture enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton, but Arizonans aren't buying it. Voters here have heard Donald Trump's message and are ready for change in response to the senator coming to Arizona 2 days before the election. But the Trump campaign also hit up Arizona a couple times within the same week, most recently with the Republican candidate's son.
I don't think we see it again in our lifetimes because I don't think we see someone from outside of the system who'd be willing to get in there and take it on, knowing full well what comes with it.
The Trump supporters at the rally seem to be more focused on the economic plan of their nominee.
Trump across the board wants to lower taxes. The more money people have in their own pocket, the more they can spend, the more people can be employed. So it's two completely opposite philosophies.
This veteran said he supported Trump because of his military plans.
That Trump is actually one of the ones that are saying we're going to go ahead and we're going to strengthen the military, but we're not going to get into any phony wars that we don't need to be in, so that the veterans actually know what they're fighting for.
It seemed like the only thing both campaigns could agree on was that the American people need to get out and vote tomorrow. In the broadcast center, Alicia Gonzalez, Cronkite News.
As voters head to the polls, one trend that is taking over is ballot selfies. It's been called the new form of the I voted sticker, but voters should be careful before posting to social media. In Arizona, you can take a selfie with your early ballot, but photos and videos are not allowed inside the polling place and within 75 feet of it. Be sure to join us tomorrow for live election night coverage. Cronkite News will bring you election updates right here during our regular 5 p.m. newscast, and will then be live on Arizona PBS 8.3 at 8 for the latest results and reactions from across the state.
Kids visit school nurses all the time for things like cuts or bloody noses.
Coming up, how one Valley school is saving students a trip to the doctor.
Plus, kids go to showcase their business ideas at the Arizona Children's Business Fair. Why these kids are pinning their hopes for a successful business on buttons.
right about now.
Tickets are now available for the annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon, held Monday, November 21st at the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Join media industry and community leaders in honoring this year's recipient, award-winning journalist and CBS Evening News anchor Scott Pelley. The annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon. cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon.
Kids might see the school nurse if they have a stomach ache or scrape their knee, but some have more serious medical conditions that require them to see a nurse on a regular basis if there is one. Natalie Tarangioli tells us how school nurses help keep kids avoiding the doctor.
Angel sees the school nurse at Starlight Elementary at least twice a day.
It's because I am diabetic.
The third grader needs the nurse to help him with his insulin shots.
They're actually really nice.
Cartwright School District has a nurse in each of their 21 schools, but this isn't the case nationwide. The Centers for Disease Control found that only about half of public schools staff full-time nurses.
It's very helpful. It can help student achievement. It can help make sure that students are healthy, and we know that students need to be healthy in order to learn.
Arizona schools aren't required to have a nurse on site.
I think a lot of times it does come down to resources. Obviously here in Arizona, that's been a need for our schools. And so they don't always have the opportunity to place a nurse in every school, even though I'm sure they would like to.
More than half of children in Arizona are considered low income, according to the National Center for Children in Poverty. School nurses can treat children when a trip to the doctor isn't a financial option.
They rely on school nurses for so much. A lot of them do not have their own private physician or pediatrician.
At Cartwright, each nurse will treat anywhere between 50 and 100 children per day.
Stomach aches, headaches, itchy eyes, scrapes.
And they see plenty of kids that need to be seen regularly, like Angel. Eventually, he won't need help with his shots, but if it wasn't for the nurse at school now,
I'd have to go back to the doctor and usually stay there.
In Phoenix, Natalie Tarangioli, Cronkite News.
The Department of Education isn't looking to make registered nurses in schools mandatory. They said it's up to individual school districts and their communities to decide to allocate funding for nurses or something else like extracurricular activities.
Jewelry, clothing, baked goods, and customizable buttons, all made by kids. The Arizona Children's Business Fair at Arcadia Park on Saturday was home to many bright ideas. Reporter Dana Lewandowski shows how children are turning those ideas into business deals.
Children ages 4 through 13 got the opportunity to showcase their creative business ideas. The event was sponsored by Acton Academy, an organization that inspires children to become entrepreneurs and also teaches them the basics of what it takes to run a business. Noah and Sam Hendrick, ages 12 and 10, have been making buttons like pros. Their business, Happy Buttons, started when their parents had a button maker sitting around from a previous business. The boys picked up the button maker and started working.
We have a machine back there. You can't see it right now. And we've pressed different components together, and we have two different types. We have pixelated things, and then we also have emotes. Those are our main ones. These are our main categories, but we also have stuff like footballs, basketballs, and gummy bears.
Happy Buttons was one of the many booths set up in Arcadia Park for the Arizona Children's Business Fair. Business ideas ranged from t-shirts and tank tops from AZ Adventure to delicious baked goods from Annie's Apples. Each child had to state their sales pitch for their product, keep track of inventory, and work their charm on the customers to make sales.
They've grown up learning how to be entrepreneurs, and you see it big time on display here in that they just know. They know exactly what they're looking for and the sales points that they want to make, so it's pretty impressive.
This event allowed children to show their creative side and put what they've learned about creating a business into an actual product.
It's not just about doing something brand new, but it's taking something old and making it renewed and continuing on tradition.
The people in the community purchasing their products aren't the only ones that love this event.
It's very exciting. I love this. We did it last year, and it was very fun.
The fair ended by awarding medals to the young entrepreneurs with the highest business potential, most original business, and best presentation. Happy Buttons took home the medal for the highest business potential for children ages 8 through 10. A citywide business fair is planned for the spring of 2017. For more information, go to actonarcadia.org or stay updated on their Facebook page at AZ Children's Business Fair. Dana Lewandowski, Cronkite News.
Under either a temporary or permanent basis, a church will offer a place to stay for undocumented immigrants under threat of deportation. It's called Sanctuary. Coming up on Cronkite News, one North Phoenix church has revived that practice, and with the looming election, it's more relevant than ever.
Plus, it's 85 degrees outside and sunny, very beautiful, and it might be getting a little bit hot this week. We'll have more and your 7-day forecast after the break.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. I'm always searching to feel like I fit into something.
We are the people that we are because of our past.
I'm just one of many who stopped being silent.
They said the fight would break us, the struggle up to make who we are.
It's just proof of how far we have come.
Make sure in all the hustle and bustle, we don't lose sight of why we're here.
It all boils down to communicating the lives we live.
If you look closely, they've got a story to tell.
He connects with you in a very deep way.
We wish you love, peace, and soul.
Come with us on this great adventure.
I've been getting used to waking up.
Come and play with us.
Onward and onward.
Good ideas open up a whole new world of possibilities.
The more you know about history, the more you know about yourself.
The sky is the limit.
Where I go, there you are.
Don't forget that you and your collectibles are the stars of this show.
Between $2,000 and $2,500.
In excess of $15,000.
Wow, it's close to $10,000 right now.
Well, $100,000 wouldn't even be a down payment on this painting.
Oh, good.
Never thought it'd be that.
$1,200 to $1,500 at fair market value.
Join us for the next taping of Arizona Collectibles. Go to azpbs.org/collectibles to submit your items today.
A North Phoenix church offers sanctuary to some unauthorized immigrants facing deportation. And ahead of the election, the pastor is hearing from more people who may need help. Cronkite News reporter Katie Bieri visited the church to find out why.
Shadow Rock United Church of Christ has been Sixto Paz's home for the past 4 months. He's lived in the U.S. for 32 years, but now faces deportation.
Porque te quitan tu libertad.
They take away your liberty. They take away your family. They take away your whole world.
But immigration authorities do not make a practice of detaining people at places considered sensitive, like churches and schools.
They're not hiding anybody. When a person comes in here for sanctuary, we notify ICE immediately.
This North Phoenix church and a few others are reviving the sanctuary movement that began in the 1980s to help Central Americans fleeing war.
We had no intention of resisting our government. We didn't understand that was our role, but we weren't going to let people die.
Now, there are concerns about a new spike in Central American migration.
They are migrating north in order to get here before the presidential election, thinking that they're going to lose their opportunity for a better life.
Fears about mass deportations could lead others already in the U.S. to seek a safe haven. Ismael has made Arizona his home for 25 years.
Aquí está mi ropa.
Now he's living at the church.
Siempre estás pensando.
You're always thinking about your family. You don't sleep in your home. You don't sleep in your bed. You don't sleep with your family. Every time you lie down at night, you think of them.
Although the church does offer sanctuary to Sixto and Ismael, their families still provide their food, which they cook every day.
Es un gran señor.
If the men leave the church, they risk being deported.
¿Por qué estar aquí de esta manera? Separado de...
Why be locked up here? from everything that I love. And everything that I've struggled for.
In Phoenix, Katie Beery, Cronkite News.
It has been months since the two men have slept in their own beds. Ismail marked his one-year anniversary living at the church this month.
Local musicians are coming together in Scottsdale on Sunday to put on a benefit concert for the Standing Rock protesters. The concert will raise funds and supplies for Native Americans who are protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline. The all-day concert will take place at BLK Live in Scottsdale starting at 2 p.m. on Sunday. Tickets to the event cost $18, and all the proceeds will go to protesters in Standing Rock. You can also bring food donations and other supplies with you to the concert, and those will be shipped to the protesters. Event organizers say the event will be family-friendly all the way up to 10 p.m. A long, dry stretch of the Santa Cruz River could once again flow with water. Tucson Water has proposed sending heavily treated wastewater down the river through downtown Tucson. The river has been dry in this area since the 1940s because of groundwater pumping. In the past, Tucson Water has opposed these plans, but this new blueprint is backed by the utility company. Temperatures across the valley are pretty pleasant this afternoon, but they won't stay that way. Joey Carrera is in the Cronkite Weather Center with your Election Day forecast.
That's right, Kate. Still 85 degrees right now and sunny, but winds are coming in from the north at around 5 to 11 miles per hour. So that's going to stick around. And actually tomorrow for the Election Day, we forecasted some strong gusts that will be around the valley. They'll also be concentrated in the southern part of our state. But around here, as you can see, all this blue that we're seeing, that's wind that could get up to at least 15 to 20 miles per hour. As you can see right here, Casa Grande, 16 miles per hour forecasted. In Phoenix, 14. Scottsdale, 12 miles per hour. And as the rest of the color fades off the map later into the night, the wind also will settle down. We'll take a look at your forecast tomorrow if you're going to go out to the polls. 66 degrees in the morning when you wake up. By 1 p.m., it's going to be 88 degrees, and the temperatures will be creeping up this week. We're going to hit near 90 degrees in some places tomorrow, but for the rest of the week, things look like they're going to be sticking around in the 80s, and it's going to be that absolutely beautiful time of year that we've all been waiting for. That's it for the weather right now. Kate, what do we have coming up after the break?
After finishing in second to last place of the division, the Diamondbacks hire a new coach to take the team to the top. We'll introduce Coach Tori Lavello coming up next.
The confidence to lead our country.
This isn't reality television.
I feel like Hamilton reached out from history and wouldn't let me go until I told his story.
I make no apology for my actions. I would do the same again.
How we come so far and yet have so far to go.
Right there, coming up.
In 1920s Melbourne,
careful with the hand luggage. My pistol's in there somewhere and it may still be loaded.
Phryne Fisher is a detective.
Things could get interesting around here.
Thought they already were.
Who isn't afraid to live a little.
I hope you're not concealing a dangerous weapon under that skirt.
I'm concealing a lot of things.
Why do you think you can just run off on your own?
Because I'm carrying a gun.
The irresistible series, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries.
Saturday night at 10 on Arizona PBS.
Hi, I'm Charlie Rose. As part of the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at ASU, Arizona PBS is providing a state-of-the-art venue for the next generation of journalists. From newsrooms in Washington, Los Angeles, and here in Phoenix, students engage in real-time, real-world news reporting, broadcast production, and online innovation. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS working together in new ways to bridge the classroom to the community in the digital age.
The Diamondbacks have a new manager in their clubhouse. Tori Lavello is no stranger to a red hat, trading his Boston Red Sox cap for an Arizona Diamondbacks one today. Cronkite News reporter Christina Vicario introduces the new Diamondbacks manager.
Tori Lavello became the 8th manager in Arizona Diamondbacks history Monday. It was a small slice of misfortune for one that allowed for his huge opportunity. Lavello took over as interim manager for the Red Sox when manager John Farrell took leave for cancer treatments.
I want to say a quick thank you to John Farrell, who's a friend and mentor to me. Along the way, you know, we've walked through some very difficult times. He was the guy that took a chance on me, that gave me my first opportunity, and basically helped me sit down in this seat today.
Lovello won 28 of the 48 games he managed in Boston while filling in for Farrell. The GM of the Red Sox then, Mike Hazen, now his new boss with the D-backs.
Anytime that you have that ability to communicate on that level immediately, I think it's a plus in our mind.
Torey Lovello and Mike Hazen formed a close relationship while working together in the Boston Red Sox organization. Not only did Lovello follow Hazen to Arizona, but he also joked that he was feeling the separation from his former general manager.
For me, it really couldn't have worked out any better. But certainly my connection to Mike was something that, for me, I never wanted to lose. And he was brought over here, and I was a little bummed out by that. There's a little separation now.
Now, after an abysmal year for the Diamondbacks organization, in which it lost 93 games, Hazen is confident in the ability of his new manager and his old friend to turn things around.
Can't really answer, what's happened in the past. I feel very good about what's going to happen in the future.
In Phoenix, I'm Christina Vicario, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. We hope you join us tomorrow for all of our election night coverage.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.